Good morning and welcome to PB&J Craft. This is Gabriel, also known as Patrick, and welcome to episode 5 of the Skyblock Challenge. Skyblock 4, episode 4, was primarily, in fact only, cobblestone building, and so that was somewhat less than exciting. But now I'm doing a little more stuff here. Excuse me. In this episode, I think I was having a problem with the network at my apartment. I'm not really sure what was going on there, but it wasn't coming up properly. So we've got first-person view here for this episode. You see, what I'm doing here is I just created another little platform, and because I have enough materials, I'm from the get-go making the kill chamber as well. This is the beginnings of a more efficient mob, more efficient not mob grinder. So the old room I had to walk 23 blocks away from and come back and forth, and there was a very small amount of space with in which the mobs could spawn. You see, I fell down there a few minutes ago. Now this is going to look a little ugly from the outside, but the idea when I build a mob grinding chamber, I want a large platform, generally like 15 blocks by 15 blocks, with a 5 block by 5 block hole in the middle, which I then build a kind of water pathway, so that mobs will spawn on the platform, walk into the water, and then be dropped down a drop shaft, which is just short enough to not kill them, so that I can get the experience from killing the mobs, but I don't have to waste a lot of sword hits, waste a lot of time killing them completely. It's also helpful because sometimes the creepers can get aggroed or whatnot, and that's never a good thing. I realized, I paused there, because I realized that water is going to keep freezing as long as there's no torch next to it. But I can't have a torch in the drop chamber because I need the drop chamber to be pitch black. So I came up with this workaround of having the water actually coming from the ceiling and running, and so the torch, which is keeping the water from freezing, is hidden in the ceiling. Now, since recording this, I realized that water will not freeze into ice in an ice biome or in a whatever they call it, snow biome, as long as it is covered, as long as it's not open to the sky. So I would have actually been fine as soon as I put the roof on this chamber. But, you know, I already built it this way. I might change it down the road, but it's not super necessary. Now you notice this is very ugly right now. There's nothing pretty about this setup. But I really wanted, I'm starting with functionality, and then as I get things more set up and gain more materials, then I can worry about the look of things. It does annoy me when water drops down, so I did waste time covering up those water droplets. So now I'm building this chamber only 2 blocks high. The third block there is going to be part of the roof. But I don't want Endermen spawning. However, I forgot that I do need Endermen to spawn as part of the challenge. I need 10 ender pearls. Is one of the objectives. So I am going to have to change things at some point so that Enderman can spawn. But for now, I don't want Enderman. It's not really useful to me currently. So I'm just going to be making a two block high chamber. Now when we get to the bottom, we're going to find that I've built it a little too tall. It's killing mobs from the start. So you see there's all those implements down there, and unless a mob comes in wearing armor, it's gonna die right away. So then I tried to build up a little bit so it'd be more efficient, and then creeper exploded. So I'm having a little trouble getting the height exactly right so that everything is one hit without dying. I also, you could build the drop shaft just with four blocks or 4 columns, and just a center empty chamber. I did it in the 3x3, the 9 spot, with an empty middle one, because I didn't want mobs to crawl into the walls, because when you log out and log back in again, then those mobs the game will remember them wrong, and they'll kind of glitch through the walls, and that can be a real pain. So I wanted to avoid having mobs glitch through the walls. So I think now I've got it at a efficient level, and am relatively pleased with it. A few minutes ago, I real quick bone mealed some wheat once I had enough for that. Now my next step, I'm moving my my infinite water source from the top of the old chamber to the top of this chamber, because I'm going to start building my cactus farm, and I do want water for that. Now I do this somewhat inefficiently. I build the whole cactus farm and then realize it's not symmetrical and I don't like it, and the way the water comes in isn't quite right. So then I take it apart and redo the whole thing. My technique here, and there's different ways to do cactus farms. I think this is most efficient. That, or at least I find it easy to do this way. That you place running water underneath a cobblestone or some solid block on which to place sand, put the cactus on top of the sand, and then put something like a fence post above next to it, so that when the cactus tries to grow, that block will immediately pop off, and then the running water will carry it to wherever it's going. So then I realized that the water wasn't going to flow properly the way I had it. So I'm moving everything over by 1 in order that the water can actually flow down that hole in the center of my mob spawning chamber. So I've now doubled the efficiency. So mobs are falling into that water and being dropped down, and cactus are also falling down in that water and coming down the same chamber. So I can collect it all at the same place, at my mob grinder there. The one thing that's really inefficient about this kind of mob grinding is that it catches spiders. Spiders just accumulate at the top, and then it's a lot harder to get other things going. So I'm putting everything away, and I will see you next episode. Make it a great day. Thanks for watching.